What we've got here is a 2021 Gretsch G5427T Electromatic, flame maple top, maple neck with a laurel fingerboard, medium jumbo, 22 medium jumbo frets, 2 FT5E Filtertron pickups, a B60 Bigsby.
Que bella.
If it sounds like I'm talking about a 60s car, it feels like I'm talking about a 60s car when I'm talking about this guitar. We're going to talk about guitars. All the tones coming out of my guitar today are coming out of my Fender Tone Master Twin Reverb, and I got a small pedal board set up over here with a few essentials just for fun. I gotta say, ever since I got this guitar, I've just been in love with it. I mean, I've thought a few times, do I really need this Gretsch? Should I sell it? I mean, I cannot get rid of this guitar. It's just gorgeous. It's made so well. It looks so nice, and it plays amazing. Out of every single guitar that I own, this guitar plays better than almost all of them. The thing about this guitar that I find really fascinating is that right out of the box, I kid you not, I got this off the wall at a Guitar Center, okay? Probably been sitting there for a lot longer than I thought. And they don't do much setup at a Guitar Center, let's be honest. Right off the wall, the action was perfect. I mean, it's pretty low. I mean, I've got this at like 464s on the low E, 464s on the high E. I'm comfortable with that. You could probably go a little lower if you wanted to, but that's pretty damn low. Right off the wall, I mean, this thing sounded amazing. I mean, the fretwork was great. There's no pokey fret ends. It plays gorgeous. Like, the pickups that are on here, the Filtertrons, which I wanted to get a Gretsch. I wanted to make sure the Gretsch that I got had Filtertrons. Started out this process going to buy a Telecaster. I was going to get a Telecaster, just a Fender Player Tele, because I'd wanted a Fender Player Tele for quite a while. But when I showed up, the ones they had, I didn't really like the colors, plus, I don't know, I wasn't feeling the Telecaster that day for whatever reason. And then I looked up and I saw these things hanging on the wall, and I'm like, you know what, I'm going to give Gretsch a shot. I actually picked up a Streamliner, and it was more of a brownish color. It was actually very nice. I brought it home, I played it for, I don't know, a day or two, and the only thing I didn't like about it was it has, for pickups they use these things called Broadtrons. They're basically humbuckers in a Gretsch style guitar, which works pretty nice for certain style of guitars. But I have a Les Paul, I have a 335. I don't need another humbucker guitar. I specifically wanted a Gretsch guitar when I was looking at them because I wanted to get the Filtertrons. I wanted the actual pickups. I ended up returning the Streamliner, and when I returned the Streamliner, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna put a couple $100 more into this, and I'm gonna go a step up. Because the Electromatics, they were on sale for around $700. They run usually between $750 and $900, depending on whether they're on sale. But this thing was perfect. Everything about it was perfect. It was set up perfectly. Like, there's nothing wrong with the guitar. Every bolt was tightened perfectly when I cleaned up the guitar and restrung it. The tuners work great. If you use the Bigsby, you can your G string can go out a little bit. There are ways to fix that by putting lubrication in the nut and whatnot. So. So what's up with the knobs? I'm gonna try to demystify it a little bit. It's still a little confusing, but it makes sense. This thing right here, that is an overall volume knob. That just brings everything up and down. There's your straight volume knob, okay? These three on the other side here, this one right here, this is your volume knob for your neck pickup. If you're in your neck pickup position, that is the volume knob for the neck pickup, right? What the hell? No, that is not your volume knob for your neck pickup. That is your volume knob for your bridge pickup. This is the bridge pickup, like a separate bridge pickup volume knob. All right. Now this knob right here controls like how much of the volume, the loudness of the bridge pickup, and this one right here controls the loudness of the neck. So basically, what's kind of cool is you can mess around with this. That's a little bright. You can bring this down. So now you're bringing in the neck, so you're darkening it up a little bit. I mean, honestly, I kind of keep them all up all the time, and I just select if I want different pickup. But yeah, that's pretty much how the knobs work there, okay? But honestly, this guitar is great. This guitar plays awesome, it sounds good, and I can't find fault in it. Literally, if I go change the strings, the neck doesn't move. I've barely had to touch the truss rod on this thing. I'm amazed at how good these Electromatics are for the price range. Because, I mean, you can go buy a Fender guitar in the same price range, and these are made by Fender now. Well, Gretsch and Fender, it's like the same company. Gretsch is part of Fender. You can go and buy a Fender in the same price range, the Player Series Fenders, and it has fret problems, has all kinds of crap, all kinds of problems. This thing is decked out like a classic car. And when you freaking out of the box, from my experience, was perfect. And if something's gonna go wrong, it's gonna happen to me, because it always does. But yeah, you've got like a regular ABR style bridge here, just pretty much like your Gibson when you adjust your action up and down. This right here, the bridge itself is actually pinned in place on these Electromatics. Some of the older Gretches, like classic Gretches, if you see them like this, these actually float. They just slide right around. So people would actually put tape underneath them to hold them in place and stuff like that. But this one's pinned right to the body, which I actually like. So because I find that kind of odd. But then again, you could just adjust your intonation by sliding it back and forth if you were using, you know, one that's not pinned down. That's like that. The Bigsby is great. I mean, I'm not really sure how like expensive of a Bigsby this is. This is like Bigsby licensed is what it says. So they're kind of, I think they're thought of as the cheaper Bigsbys that are put on these guitars. But for me, it does what it's supposed to do. It's perfect. It's really not as complicated to restring as people make it out to be. It's a little bit tricky. You got to get used to bending the wire over and connecting it down there. But yeah, honestly, this thing is great. And I love this guitar, and this is one of my main staples. My guitars now, which isn't going anywhere. This one's sticking with me. So, I mean, if you're in the market for something like this, or if you just want something different, because these have a different sound, like a woody sound. I've been really listening to a lot of Chet Atkins and stuff like that. And, I mean, I love the Stray Cats and Brian Setzer and that kind of stuff, and that's what these guitars excel at. These guitars really are that classic rock and roll sound, and I mean, it's just great. I mean, you show up on stage with something like this and people are like, whoa, look at that. It's like you pull up in a classic car. You know, it's got that look to it. And I mean, come on. Isn't that what we all want out of a guitar? We want, like, if we're gonna play live, or if we're gonna be on stage, you don't want to walk out there with this boring looking guitar. You want your guitar to look cool. You want to stand out. And I mean, you're gonna stand out with this. Maybe the orange color isn't for everybody, like a quilted orange with like, you know, like almost like tiger stripe kind of stuff going on. But this was essentially based off of the Chet Atkins model that Brian Setzer kind of made his model. So it's a weird amalgamation of like a Chet Atkins / Brian Setzer model. But yeah, I love this guitar. I could talk about it all day, but this is a great guitar. So if you're looking for something like this, you can't beat it. These Gretsch Electromatics are really well made. You can change out the pickups, you can change out anything you want to change, but this is solid right out of the box. So this has been Jay Byrne for the EFX Loop. If you like this kind of content, please like, leave a comment, subscribe, because I can use the subscribers, and I'll see you next time. What we've got here is an Epiphone ES-335 Pro. On the back of the neck, it says Epiphone Custom Shop Limited Edition, for whatever that's worth. This guitar contains two Alnico Classic Pro humbuckers, specifically designed by Epiphone for these guitars. The guitars themselves have coil split, the body wood is maple, the neck is Indian laurel, and it has medium jumbo frets. Let's talk guitars. All sounds today will be played through my Roland JC40 amp with a small pedal board with a few essentials, just for fun. Hello and welcome to this episode of the EFX Loop. Today we are going to talk about my Epiphone ES-335 Pro. I've had this guitar for quite a few years now. I think I got it around 2018. It's there's nowhere on the guitar where it looks like by the number inside it might be a 2019, so I got it somewhere in 2018, 2019. I've had it for a few years already. I love this guitar. This is one of my favorite guitars that I have. It kind of does everything. That's the thing about a 335. 335s are kind of like jack of all trades, because you can play rock on it, you can play metal to a certain extent on it, you can play jazz on it, you can play blues on it. I mean, B.B. King played a 335, which he called Lucille. This guitar is actually called Pauline, named after my grandmother who passed many years ago. But when I first started playing guitar, I normally don't name my guitars, but when I first started playing guitar, I played a guitar that was very similar to this, probably a little more like my Gretsch, but in my mind I remembered it looking kind of like this. When I got this guitar, I said I'm gonna name it after my grandmother, Polly. For people who grew up during my era, and I'm like in my 40s now, so we're talking about like the mid 80s or so, when I was like teenager years, you will remember these guitars from Back to the Future. Like when I originally bought this guitar, I wanted a cherry red one. So it could be like Marty McFly when he actually plays the guitar at the dance towards the end of Back to the Future when he plays Johnny B. Good. And I always thought that guitar was gorgeous. And I mean, to me, that's my first image of a 335 when I first looked at it. The pickups that come in this guitar are, they're designed by Epiphone. They're not anything special, but they have this nice zing in the top end, and they've got, I mean, as with most of these type of guitars, they have a deep low end. This is what they call a semi-hollow body guitar, because it's got a block that runs all the way through it, and it adds a little bit more weight to it. If you were looking at, say, like a Sheridan or a Casino, I'm pretty sure those guitars are full hollow body, so they actually don't have the block that runs down the middle. Hence, they tend to feed back a little bit more. The block was put in these guitars specifically to kind of help with the feedback. Although back then, a lot of people playing these guitars were playing them clean and were playing them like jazz quartets and stuff like that. So when these guitars were originally put out, the ES actually stands for Electric Spanish. So this was considered a Spanish style guitar, which is interesting to me now, all these years later when you think about it, you know. But yeah, I've used this guitar in multiple capacities to play multiple styles of music. I mean, it handles rock really well. People like Alec Lifeson of Rush have been known to play these guitars. So a lot of the early Rush material was played on a 335 because that's what Alex Lifeson of Rush had. Eric Clapton played a 335 for a while in the early years, like when he was in Cream and whatnot. That was the guitar that he had until he kind of switched over to his Strat years later. But he still pulls out his 335 every now and then. The thing that I love about this guitar, and I've always loved about the guitar, is the middle position on this guitar is, I mean, it's a killer middle position. This guitar also has coil split. See, the traditionals, these were made specifically for Guitar Center. They were like a Guitar Center exclusive, these Epiphones. And the difference between these and the ones that you would find in other places or right off the wall in other guitar stores other than Guitar Center were that these came with coil split. So you can actually split both of these pickups. If you split your bridge pickup here, you get a that's the bridge without it. That's the bridge with the coil pickup. Now it's kind of nice if you put it in the center pickup, the center, so you're getting both pickups and split it. You can also split your bridge pickup right here. Actually, this is the bridge pickup without it split. This is if you split it. It's got a nice tone to it, split. Actually, I find that the coil split on this guitar very usable. It reminds me, now that I'm aware of what a Gretsch sounds like, it reminds me of the Filtertrons in a Gretsch. It gives you kind of that sound. And what's nice about it is it makes this guitar extremely versatile. You can play anything. You can play a whole set with this guitar because you can get your single coil sounds if you want, and you can get your full humbucker sounds. You can play rock. You can, like I've said, you can play any style of music with this guitar. A lot of different styles of music. The only problem I ever had with this guitar was the jack right here. It was a cheap jack and it fell into the guitar, which let me tell you is a lot of fun trying to fix getting out of here. So I had to buy a new jack. I bought a Switchcraft jack and I soldered it in myself, which is crazy because I'm not good at soldering, and it was like the first time I ever had to solder something into my guitar. But the guitar still plays and it works perfectly fine. I don't have any interference or any issues, so I did something right. They run for around $600 now. You can get these for around $600, which is a freaking steal. I think I got this for around the same price when I bought mine years ago. But yeah, Epiphone ES-335 Pro. Love this guitar. Like I've said like a million times already in this video, one of my favorite guitars. It's just a gorgeous looking guitar. And the tuning pegs on this are Kluson style tuning pegs. They're kind of like vintage style, basically. They even gave them kind of like a greenish look to give them kind of like an old-fashioned-y look. But I've never had any issues with these tuning pegs. Like, these tuning pegs are fine. I had an old Les Paul, an Epiphone Les Paul from the 90s, and I started having major issues with the tuning pegs on that. And this guitar I've had quite a few years now, and I had no problems with the tuning pegs. So I'm Jay Byrne. This is the EFX Loop. If you like this kind of content, please like the video, comment in the comment section, subscribe if you haven't subscribed. That definitely helps me out. Share this video with friends if you know somebody who's interested in this kind of content. If you got any questions, or if you want to ask me anything specifically, leave questions in the comments, because I am thinking about doing some viewer question episodes later on down the line now that I'm getting some subscribers. So I need some questions to answer. So I'm going to start scouring the comment sections for questions to maybe use in a later video. But yeah, so I hope you enjoy it. I hope you enjoy this kind of content. I'm Jay Byrne. This has been the EFX Loop. Thanks. See you next time.
What we've got here is an Alpine White Epiphone Les Paul Custom, part of their Inspired by Gibson line. The body is made of mahogany. The neck is a 60s slim taper neck. It's also mahogany with an ebony fretboard. You've also got a Graphtec new bone nut, Grover Rotomatic 18:1 tuners, CTS pots, jumbo frets, 22 of them, gold-plated hardware, and this guitar comes equipped with Epiphone ProBucker pickups. This thing's pretty sweet.
Yeah, well, you know, that's just like your opinion, man.
Let's talk guitars.
All the tones coming out of my guitar today are coming out of my Fender Tone Master Twin Reverb, and I got a small pedal board set up over here with a few essentials, just for fun. Hello and welcome to this episode of the EFX Loop. Today we are talking about my Epiphone Les Paul Custom. This is an Alpine White inspired by Gibson Les Paul Custom. It's a 2020 actually. I'll give you a little bit of history behind my Les Paul journey, basically. Back around the year 2000, I was in a band called Room 18. I made a documentary on this band called The Final Episode. Check it out on Roadkill Entertainment. Anyway, I was in this band called Room 18. We started playing a lot of shows, and I wanted a nicer guitar. At the time, I didn't actually have a very good guitar. I took my guitar apart to fix it, and it was a Washburn, and yeah, let's just say I made a mess out of it, because at the time I didn't know anything about what I was doing. And so I had no guitar. So I ended up using a friend of mine, Rob Marshall, who was in the band Room 18. I ended up using a spare guitar that he had lying around. I think it was a Charvel that he had done some work on. It was kind of like his project guitar. And I played that. It wasn't a bad guitar. It had some interesting fret issues. Like, I think he probably tried to smooth out the fret ends on it, and he made them a little bit too. He kind of polished them a little too into the neck, so your strings would like fall off the top of the fretboard when you were playing it. So it was a little tricky to play at times. So I decided I wanted my Les Paul, and I was going to get my Les Paul. Obviously, I couldn't get a Gibson, so Epiphone was the way that it was going to go. I found a store. I think I ended up buying it at a place called Rick's Music World in Rhode Island. Looking back on it, it was stylized more like the 59 Les Pauls, like a classic like burst 59 Les Paul. That was the look of it, basically. I couldn't tell you what kind of pickups it had. I played it, it sounded good. At that time, I had no idea how to set up guitar. I knew nothing about like setting up and doing that kind of stuff. I literally put strings on it, tuned it, and played that guitar for years. That guitar is pretty much what is on all my early recordings. Around 2019-ish, I started having issues with it. It just wasn't sounding right. The tuning pegs weren't working well. So I decided I'm gonna buy new tuning pegs for this guitar. I bought new tuning pegs for the guitar. They fit, no problem. I had to kind of remount the neck a little bit, which was terrifying to me. It's just the guitar just didn't play the way that it used to play, didn't sound as good as it used to sound. So what I ended up doing is I decided I'm going to sell this guitar and I'm just going to get another guitar. I decided, well, if I'm going to buy a Les Paul, I'm going to get what I want. And I wanted one that looked kind of Randy Rhoads-esque, you know, that looked like Randy Rhoads' guitar. I don't know much about what a Epiphone Pro Bucker actually is. I think it's Epiphone's way of mimicking Gibson. Gibson has, like, I think they call them Gibson Pro Buckers as well. I think these are supposed to be as close as possible to the stock pickups in, say, a Les Paul if you were to buy it directly from Gibson. I find them to be brighter, and they have a lot of bite. Like, they a lot of attack. They're really good. I found that most, an SG, a Les Paul, and a 335 do a lot of the same stuff. They cross over. I had an SG for a while. It had constant tuning problems. Surprisingly, although usually Les Pauls have tuning issues, this guitar is pretty rock solid. You can get the action pretty low on it, nice and comfortable. I've never had a problem with the neck. It had a little bit of pokey frets when I first got it, but I've worked them out by polishing them down, and now they feel perfectly fine. For a $700 guitar, it's not only gorgeous. I mean, the tuxedo white, they call it alpine white, but this tuxedo look, this classic Les Paul custom tuxedo look, yeah, it's great. What's interesting about the customs is the customs have a slightly different sound than your typical like 59 Les Pauls. They tend to be, from my experience with this one, I found this guitar to be a lot brighter than my previous Epiphone Les Paul. I mean, it has these it comes with these Grover tuners, these gold tuners, and these things are rock solid. Like, this thing tunes great. They feel nice and smooth. They don't feel weird, you know? They have they feel solid, and they feel like they're well-made tuners. It's got 22 frets. These things right here, they call it a Electromatic. It's pretty cool. Epiphone does this on most of their guitars now. It has a little clip on the inside, so they snap into place. So this way, if you're changing your strings and you take the strings off or something, anybody who's familiar with Les Paul will know these things usually just fall off because they don't snap into place. So yeah. The only issue that I did have, which I think is an issue with Les Pauls in general, is probably due to the scale length. The G string, I literally, when I had to intonate the guitar, it would be pulled all the way back. So what I ended up doing was flipping the saddle, so that way I could get a little bit more room to kind of move this this saddle right here, so that I could actually kind of push it back just a little bit with the screw, a little bit further. And now, I mean, it intonates perfectly. I've got more than enough room to intonate it. It didn't cause any like tuning problems or playing problems or anything like that. Honestly, what's funny about this is these guitars were designed and they were played like jazz guitars back in the day, and clean, you know, a nice bassy kind of bluesy jazz sound. You can get a really nice sound on your, you know, in your center picks position. You can get a really nice sound out of the guitar with the center position. So I like to use that a lot. It's the same thing with the 335. The 335 is a little bit boomier in the center position. This is almost has a little bit more sizzle in the top end, and it sounds nice. It gives it I don't know how to describe it, but it's a nice chimey kind of tone. It sounds really nice through like a Fender or something like that, like maybe like a you know, a black panel Fender. I'd say these guitars play really well with like punk rock, metal, hard rock. You can do a lot of good stuff with it, which is hilarious to me because the guitars were never designed to play that kind of music, but they've been like adapted to that kind of music. I mean, Slash is solely responsible for bringing back the Les Paul. I'm a huge Guns N' Roses fan, but bringing the Les Paul back in like the mid 80s, because the Les Paul was kind of considered like an old man guitar. Like these were like these things were antiquated. People were playing super strats in the early 80s, you know, humbucker and 2 single coils, like Eddie Van Halen style guitars. They were like a lot of guitars like that, like Washburn, Charvel, like those type of guitars, Kramer, those type of guitars in the 80s. So people weren't interested in these big, heavy, like blocks of wood. But you know, they came back around the time of Guns N' Roses because people like Slash were playing them, and then people started looking back to like the classic artists. Like one of my favorite guitarists of all time, Jimmy Page from Led Zeppelin, played a Les Paul, and that was part of the reason why I wanted a Les Paul. So yeah, love this guitar. Love my guitar. Another guitar I have here that I think is great. I like the ebony fretboard. It's just the look of this thing is so classy, and yeah, it looks great. What's hilarious is it's classy, but you play punk and heavy metal on it, so go figure. But so yeah, I'm Jay Byrne. This is the EFX Loop. If you like this kind of content, like, subscribe, leave a comment. You know, all that stuff helps me out. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this episode. See you next time.
What we've got here is a Squier Classic Vibe 60s custom Telecaster, 100% designed by Fender. It has vintage style tuning machines, a maple neck, a Nyato body, Indian laurel fingerboard with a bone nut. It has a slim C-shaped neck profile with a 9.5 radius. This guitar plays and looks beautiful.
They say so much, but they never tell you if it's any good.
Let's talk guitars.
Today I'll be playing through my Fender Tone Master Twin Reverb, and I've got a small pedal board set up with just a few essentials. Hi, I'm Jay Byrne, and this is the EFX Loop, and today we are talking about Telecasters. Specifically this Squier 60s Classic Vibe Custom Telecaster, according to Squier. So what is so special about a Telecaster? Not a lot. It's like two slabs of wood bolted together with two single coil pickups, and just something about a Telecaster works. I can't describe it. This is a tough one for me because I can't really say what is so great about a Telecaster. Like why it sounds as good as it does, why it plays as good as it does. I mean, Telecasters have quirks too. They're, you know, the necks can be a little wonky. Things just can be a little off. But I don't know. There's just a sound to a Telecaster, a bite to a Telecaster that I've grown to like. My Telecaster journey kind of started back when I got it was like a 90s era made in Mexico Telecaster. It was black with a white pickguard. And I bought that for it was like $300 used at a Guitar Center. And I brought it home and I loved it. I played that thing to death. I mean, I didn't want to put it down. I just loved playing it. It was so comfortable to play. I enjoyed playing it and I had a good time playing it. So yeah, and at some point I had to sell it because I needed the money for something else, so I ended up selling it. And I realized, well, you know what, I'm going to get myself another Telecaster at some point because, I mean, I love Telecasters and I knew I was going to have one. Time went on and I went looking for a Telecaster, ended up coming home with a Gretsch. But the Telecaster was still in the back of my mind. Like I wanted a Telecaster. And I decided, you know what? I'm gonna look into the Squiers because you know what? The classic vibes weren't that bad. I ended up buying a used 50s classic vibe, which I liked, but there was just some things about it that I didn't like. It was just, I don't know, it didn't play very well. And so I ended up selling that one back. I traded that one. I ended up seeing these custom 60s ones. And I'm a sucker for a tobacco finish with a bounding on it. And I was like, you know what? That's a gorgeous guitar. And if that thing even plays half as nice as it looks, then that's the one. That'll be perfectly good for me. So I ordered it, from Fender.com. Actually got a really good deal. It was like $400. But it showed up with the neck broken right off the body. So I had to send it back, and then I ended up finally getting one that was in good shape.
that there was nothing wrong with. I just couldn't put the thing down. I played it all the time. I mean, stock, it comes with steel barrels. And honestly, it didn't sound that bad, but steel can be a little bit bright and harsh. So I decided I was going to switch that out. I changed out this bridge with the brass saddles. And it made a nice improvement in the tone. It just wasn't as spiky anymore. It's more mellow, and it just sounds nice. I haven't thought about changing the pickups since then, because I feel like the pickups are good for what they are. I mean, I love the middle position. Like, that's how I play it almost all the time. The middle position has a really nice sound to it. Between the Gretsch, my Gretsch, and the Telecaster, if I pick up one of those guitars, it's like I'm playing that guitar for a week, and then I jump to the other one. I mean, I love my Epiphones, my Les Paul and my 335. I love those guitars, and I like the Strat too. But I prefer playing a Telecaster. It's more comfortable. I just enjoy playing it, you know? It has a slim C-shaped neck profile and a 9.5-inch radius, which is more of a modern radius for a fretboard. Although it's not as wide as most modern fretboards. It's a little slimmer. It takes a little bit getting used to, but once you get used to it, it's no big deal. As long as you don't get a crappy one where the strings are so close to the edge of the fretboard that they're popping off the fretboard while you're playing, it's okay. These actually had good luck with this and the Strat. It's got a Nyato body. Not really sure what Nyato is. It's obviously some inexpensive wood. I'm not going to say that tone wood is a lie, that you know, it doesn't make a difference, because I feel like it does. However, this Nyato body, it's solid feeling. I mean, the guitar, it rings out nicely. It's got a nice chime to it. It's got a nice full sound to it. So if that's the effect of the wood, the Nyato or whatever it's called, then yeah, then it's fine. It does have a maple neck. It's got an Indian Laurel fretboard. Some people have issues with Indian Laurel. Honestly, I don't see that much difference between Indian Laurel and rosewood. But it comes with a bone nut, which is awesome. Cheaper guitars like Squiers and stuff usually come with cheap plastic nuts. This actually comes with a bone nut, so you don't have to go through that effort of swapping out the nut with a bone nut, because it comes that way, which is pretty awesome, I think. I mean, we've got like Springsteen, of course. Bruce Springsteen is known for, although Bruce Springsteen actually plays an Squier. You see Bruce Springsteen playing guitars, and it's a Telecaster. It's a blonde Telecaster. So that's what we associate when we look at Bruce Springsteen. We see a Telecaster. It's just so you associate Bruce Springsteen with Telecasters. People like Tom Morello of Rage Against the Machine plays a Telecaster. Okay, he plays Telecaster through a JCM 800. It's crazy. John Five is awesome. John Five is like the proponent of Telecasters. He loves Telecasters. Although a lot of his like signature guitars are like 2 humbuckers instead of 2 single coils. You got people like Tom Kiefer from Cinderella always he played Telecasters a lot. Andy Summers from The Police plays a 60s Telecaster that looks almost identical to this. So, back to my initial comment. What's so great about a Telecaster? I don't know. It works. It sounds good. It plays good. You pick it up and you don't want to put it down. Yeah, maybe the single coils buzz a little bit, but I can live with that. I mean, I can live with the tone. I could play a whole entire set with a Telecaster and be happy. Heck, you can play metal with it. You can play country with it. I mean, it's huge in the country. Telecasters have been like the country thing for the longest time. But, yeah. So what's great about this Telecaster? It's a Telecaster. Honestly, I don't see much difference between this and a higher end Telecaster. I mean, you pick up a Tele and you play it. I almost can't imagine spending like $3,000 on a Telecaster. Like, I feel like Telecasters are $500 guitars. Like, you don't pay more for a Telecaster than $500. Like, that's just what you pay for one. You get it and you play it, and that's what it is. And hell, it's awesome. So if you like this kind of content, like, subscribe, leave a comment, give me some video ideas, tell me whatever you want to tell me. If you hate my videos, if you love my videos, ask me some questions. I could really use them. I could make some more videos answering people's questions. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. I'm Jay Byrne. This is the EFX Loop. Take it easy. See you next time. What we've got here is a Squier Classic Vibe 50s Stratocaster, 100% designed by Fender. It has Fender-designed Alnico pickups, vintage tint gloss neck, vintage-style tuners, a slim C-shaped maple neck with a 9.5-inch radius, 21 narrow tall frets, and a bone nut. It also has a pine body. This is a gorgeous 50s style Stratocaster.
They're here.
Let's talk guitars. In today's episode, I'll be playing through my Fender Tone Master Twin with a small pedal board setup with just the essentials. Hello and welcome to this episode of the EFX Loop. In this episode, we're talking about guitars again. Today we're talking about this classic Vibe 50s Stratocaster. Now, if you've been following my channel for a while, you saw the journey I went through with this guitar. And you're probably well aware of the fact that this is all stock, except for the fact that I changed out the saddles, which I think the Fender American saddles are a little nicer. I don't know, they're not as prone to like being noisy, I thought, as the ones that actually came with the guitar, which were nickel plated. And I'm sure these are probably nickel plated as well. Maybe they're chrome, who knows. I mean, they probably use a lot of the same materials for most of these guitars. However, yeah, I don't have any issues with this guitar. I mean, it sounds great. I mean, you can't beat it. It's got a really nice tone to it, and it's, I mean, a Fender through a Fender just sounds awesome. I will say this is a darker sounding guitar than most other Strats that I've ever played. And I'll give you a little bit of behind the scenes history here, my Strat history, okay? I was never much of a Strat guy. Originally, my first guitar was a red Washburn, which was kind of like a Super Strat, but at the time I didn't think of it that way. It was just an electric guitar. And I never bothered to use the neck pickup on it. It was always in humbucker mode, so there you go with that. When I first met my wife, her guitar, she had a white Strat, a white Fender American 90s Strat, like a legit Strat. And I never jived with that guitar. It was always too bright, too clangy. I hated the tremolo. I was always trying to lock it down, getting it to sound good. So that guitar is just never sat well with me. I also had a player Strat, a Fender player Strat, which was an HSS with a humbucker. And
That guitar played really nice and I liked it. I just didn't like the fact that I actually bought something with a humbucker instead of 3 single coils. I feel like if you're gonna have a Strat, the way to do it is to have 3 single coils. Because what's the point of a Strat if it's not gonna be Stratty? I mean, I'm not much of a trem guy. This does come with its own trem. And it's a small block. Anybody, like I said, who's watched my videos have seen what the block looks like and everything. It's not a thick block, it's a small block. And I think it's a zinc block, it's a cheap block. But I mean, I don't really have a problem with the trem. I don't think these particular guitars, this 50 style of Strat, was designed with people dive bombing in mind. I think the trem on these guitars is basically there to be used kind of like you would with a Gretsch, you know, where you just kind of, you do a little bit of surf wiggle there, you know what I mean? Like, so you can do, yeah, surf rock. I dig these vintage style tuners, although I will say on these Squiers, my Telecaster has a few slippy tuners, let's put it that way. This one has good tuners, they're nice and tight. There's a few ones that slip a little bit on the Telecaster, but the Telecaster stays in tune. You get it in the right spot and it stays in tune. It's just a little annoying at times. So you might want to replace them, although I've heard it's tricky to replace some of these classic vibe parts. Like, to get the exact size for the tuners, you basically got to get the same thing, or you got to drill out the holes a little bit more. And I really don't want to start drilling out holes in this guitar in the neck. I mean, it's not hard to, you know, kind of bevel them out, but like, I just don't want to go there. Like, honestly, I feel like this guitar works for what it is. It's probably got cheap electronics in it because this is a Squier, okay? But the classic vibes are thought of as the higher realm of the Squier guitars. So it's got that going for it. Honestly, you think about all the classic artists that played Strats. I mean, Strats were an American guitar. So a lot of British artists in the 60s really wanted Strats, but they couldn't get their hands on them. So they were playing other stuff overseas, you know? But the Strat was like, 50s and the 60s, the Strat was like, if you had money, you had a Strat. You played a Strat. If you were like a big deal and you had money, the Strat is what you played. Although I got to tell you, I really love this neck. This glossy, like, it's called a C-shaped neck, and it's a little bit, I guess you would say it's a little narrower. So it takes a little getting used to, but it is so comfortable to play. It feels really nice to play. I mean, you can sit there and play this guitar for hours, and it just feels nice. Now, are you going to use this guitar to play heavy metal? Probably not. You're going to want to do some modifications to it to play heavy metal. I think these 50 style Strats are really in the vein of like Buddy Holly, freaking Dire Straits, Mark Knopfler, like that kind of stuff is what these guitars are known for. This is kind of like a Clapton-y kind of sound, you know what I mean? I feel like that's what a Strat is for. People modify them and try to play metal and hard rock on them, and you can do it. You can do it. Bands have done it. And far be it from me to tell somebody not to do something. But I feel like these guitars are really good for clean tones, slightly edge of breakup, you know, doing some kind of bluesy, like neck pickup stuff. There you go. I mean, it's got quite a few pickup selections here. What, you got your neck pickup, an in-between position, center, then you got this position, position 2, I think. This is your Skinner position, and then you got your full-on bridge. I spend a lot of time on the neck. It's pretty much where I live with this guitar, is on the neck. Yeah, it's a great guitar, and honestly, I think it's gorgeous and it's cool, and as far as I'm concerned, it ain't going anywhere because I play it so much that when I just want to play clean through a Fender amp, this guitar on my Telecaster, man, that's the way to go. But there you go. Classic vibe 50s style Strat. It's pretty cool. So if you like this kind of content, like, subscribe, leave me a comment, hit that little notification bell. You'll be told when I have new videos. I post Mondays and Wednesdays, generally speaking. And yeah, so I've been Jay Byrne. This has been the EFX Loop. I hope you enjoy it. Today we talked about guitars. We talked about a Strat. Take care.
What we've got here is a Sterling by Music Man JP60. It's stealth black. The bodywood is Nyato. It's got a modern tremolo bridge, 25.5-inch scale length, 16-inch radius, 24 medium jumbo frets. It's got a hard maple neck with a rosewood fingerboard. It's got custom John Petrucci inlays, locking tuners, dual action truss rod, bolt-on neck, a 3-way pickup selector, and 2 Sterling by Music Man humbucking pickups. Let's talk guitars. welcome to this week's episode of the EFX Loop. I'm your host, Jay Byrne. Today we are talking about a new guitar. So, I bought another guitar. What did I buy? I bought this. Sterling by Music Man JP60. Essentially, this is a John Petrucci from Dream Theater custom model. It was based off of a JP6, which those run about like $2,500 or so. This was about $600 actually, which is still probably a little high for what it is, but you know, hey, let's talk about it. I wanted a shredder. Growing up, I always had a Washburn, a red Washburn like Super Strat type electric guitar. And I love all my other guitars, don't get me wrong. I love Les Pauls, I love Strats, I love Telecasters, you know, 335s, my Gretsch, I love all that stuff. But I missed having just a basic shredder kind of metal guitar. Because there's one thing, I mean, you can use a Les Paul for metal and it sounds really good. You can use any guitar for metal, really. Actually, a lot of my heavier songs that I've recorded, I've been using my 335 because that actually sounds really good with distortion recorded. But I just wanted something like, you know, like a Jackson or an Ibanez or something along those lines. So I ended up at Guitar Center. I sold a couple of things to come up with a few bucks. Why did I pick this particular, because I've never had a Music Man. Actually, this is Sterling by Music Man. This is like their import guitar, their version of Epiphone, basically. And this is like a 2020 something guitar. Actually, there's no serial number that I can find easily on the guitar. It just says made in Indonesia on the back of it. So it doesn't actually give you a number with a year. So it's kind of hard to date them. But I mean, it's a newer guitar, so it's within the 2020 era. I went there initially to get a Jackson. That's what I was looking for. I was looking for a Jackson. But after playing a couple of the Jacksons they had on the wall, I tried a Jackson Dinky, and I had a Jackson Randy Rhoads V a long time ago. I had the like a cheap one, like a $300 one, and it sounded good. It played nice. It was kind of a cheap guitar. It just wasn't much to play around with. And so I figured, well, if I could go for Jackson, get something a little bit more expensive. I wanted a soloist. Those run around the $600-700 range. Didn't really have much of that in stock. They had one, it was damaged. And so I was just looking around because I knew what I wanted. I wanted a specific type of guitar. So I was just looking, and this thing's hanging on the shelf. And honestly, I didn't even know this was a John Petrucci like signature model. I mean, I'm aware of Dream Theater. I think I know the song Pull Me Under, and that's pretty much it. Because that was like my era of Dream Theater when I was growing up. I was like, wow, this thing plays amazing. It felt really good, it played well, it looked nice, it wasn't beat up, everything was solid on it, it was in good shape. Considering it's new, it should be in good shape, but anyone who deals with Guitar Center knows that new does not mean new, hanging on the freaking wall at the Guitar Center. New means it's been on that wall for 3-4 years. Maybe it's fell, got knocked over. Every degenerate and its brothers come in there and banged on it. I was playing the guitar and I was really impressed with it. I was like, wow, this thing sounds nice. It sounded good, it felt good, has very low action, has a really nice, the neck is really, the radius on it, that 16-inch radius is like, I mean, it's a shredder neck. It's for playing solos and stuff, and playing metal type licks. I think I like this guitar. I mean, the neck is so, I mean, it's got this like satiny finished maple neck, which is like super smooth to play, really comfortable. This thing right here, this like weird contour. I mean, this guitar is designed for comfort. It's designed to feel comfortable on your body when you're playing it. And like you kind of blend in with the guitar and it feels great. These pickups sound pretty darn good. I mean, I know these are the lower model pickups. There were these John Petrucci signature ones that were made for the more expensive models. These are kind of like the basic ones that they put in the cheaper like import models. But they actually, they sound really good. I mean, for me, as far as I'm concerned, they sound better than the ones that were in the cheap Jacksons that I played that day, and the one that I had before, the Randy Rhoads one. They're a little dark,
which is interesting because I kind of expected it to be brighter sounding. It does still have an interesting bite and an attack to it. It does come with a tremolo bar. It's a tremolo, so I don't have the bar in it right now. It's in the drawer. This is not like a Floyd Rose, but it's like a standard tremolo that's built like a Floyd Rose. Because it's very flexible. I don't really use the tremolo much, so I kind of got it set up and I just leave it alone. The only thing I don't like about having a guitar with the tremolo is like the tuning stability can be a little weird, but generally speaking, this thing stays in tune. I mean, I haven't touched it in a day and it's in tune right now. So these locking tuners on the back here are actually really cool. I only had one other guitar with locking tuners. It was a Fender that I had gotten. And I liked the locking tuners because it makes it a lot easier to change the strings. However, I had a little bit of it when I went to go change the strings on this because I wanted to clean it up, you know, and tick the knobs off and tighten all the bolts and all that stuff. I always do that the first time I get a guitar. Like, straighten it all out. Like, this just drops right in because of the springs, because it's actually a floating tremolo system. So it's like, and it's kind of a pain in the butt to get it back up to tension. You got to open up the back of it and like readjust the springs and give it some tension and take some away, give it, kind of get it back up to normal, and finally you get it back up to level, because I just wanted it level with the body, and it was fine, because I mean, I'm barely ever going to use it, but the few times I've messed around with it, it stayed in tune, so that's cool, like for a tremolo system that I'm probably barely ever going to use. This neck though, I'll tell you, this is what sold me on the guitar when I picked it up. It's like when I got my Gretsch. No fret sprout, nothing, perfectly smooth, like an awesome neck. I'm like no fret buzz, no nothing. From the factory, this thing comes set up really well. Apparently, they make them in Indonesia and they ship them to a company in the United States. It says inspected by Music Man, but it's a separate company that does it, I think. And they inspect them before they get sent out to the distributors. So this came, it might be an import guitar, but it was inspected in the US before it was actually sent out and sold. So that's a cool option right there. And I didn't want like a fancy, I wanted a shredder guitar, but I didn't want like a pink guitar or a green guitar, or like the colors can get a little crazy on the like the shredder style guitars. So it was nice to see just jet black. I was like, that's cool, I can go with that. I'm not sure how I feel about the headstock just yet. I mean, I'm not really a headstock person. I don't make a big deal out of headstocks. But this like little small mini headstock, I know this is that's Music Man's thing. That's their style. And I guess they've been around for a long time, and that has been the way they do it. I know Eddie Van Halen was played Music Man guitars, and it was kind of his thing there for like a good portion of his career, the tail end of his career. Yeah, I mean, it's got this three-way toggle, which is basically the bridge. You go in the center. It's like it's got a nice balance between these two humbuckers, and then you click it over, and this is your neck. And it's pretty basic bridge, 2 pickups and then a neck. I really like the center position. It sounds nice. This guitar has a really nice clean sound to it, which is cool. two knobs here. One's a tone knob, one's a volume knob. Basic, simple, to the point. And you can get the action on these considerably low. I mean, this is probably high to a shredder, but like 4/64 is low to me. You know, that's pretty low. And I got this thing pretty much right on 4/64s, and I mean, it's like playing nothing when I play it. Would I suggest buying one of these guitars? I think if you're looking for something in the $500 to $600 range, like a mid-tier. A mid-tier usually runs around $70. It's below $1,000, I guess. But these run for $600 at Guitar Center. They don't come with a gig bag at Guitar Center, which is interesting because I know a lot of them, if you order them from different companies, you get them with gig bags. I think you get gig bags though when you're getting like the $700 or $800 ones. Like there's like a Majesty that's like a step up from this, but it's basically the same thing, just different colors. It has like a few little weird random things that were added to it. But if you're looking for a shredder guitar and you just want something basic that's comfortable to play, that you're probably going to get something good right out of the factory, and you don't want to go with one of these like cheap $300 Jacksons, because there's a lot of cheap $300 Jacksons and they're not terrible guitars. The ones that I tried, they all had fret sprout. I mean, the reverse headstock thing is weird to me. I don't know. I mean, I had my heart set on a Jackson. I thought Jackson would be the way to go. Because, I mean, it's a metal guitar. Jackson or an Ibanez or something like that. I don't know. The Jacksons just didn't impress me. And I picked this guitar up, and for the price, it was comfortable. It played really well. It took me like 5 minutes to realize, hey, this is nice. I like this one. If you like this kind of content, like, subscribe, leave a comment, let me know what you're thinking, give me ideas for more episodes. Let's see, if you click that notification bell, you will know if I put up like an episode outside of my normal Wednesday episodes. So yeah, do all that stuff. I hope you enjoyed the show. I'm Jay Byrne, this has been the EFX Loop. Take care, see you next time.
What we've got here is a PRS Silver Sky SE in dragon fruit. The body is made of poplar. The neck is a 25.5 inch scale maple neck with rosewood fingerboard. It has the small birds inlay and the signature SE headstock. It's a bolt-on style guitar. It has a 2-point steel tremolo. The tuners are vintage style. The hardware type is nickel. It has a synthetic bone nut. The electronics are a 635 JMS single coil. JM stands for John Mayer. These are his signature style pickups. It has a volume and 2-tone controls with 5-way blade pickup switch. This is an awesome guitar. A really awesome guitar. Today I'll be playing through my brand new Boss Next Tone Special using all the onboard effects and boosts. Hello, welcome to the EFX Loop, and I am your host, Jay Byrne. Today we are talking about another guitar. So I bought yet another guitar, but I lost a couple of guitars in the process, and I talked about that in my last video. However, what I did end up buying, you've obviously seen it already, was a PRS Silver Sky SE, not the core version because I'm not rich and I don't have $3,000, but I bought the SE. So what led me to this decision? Why did I buy another Strat style guitar, S style guitar? Well, I'm not allowed to say Strat, S style guitar. Well, I realized I play my Strat a lot. I had a classic Vibe 50 Stratocaster, and I played it a lot. And I liked that guitar. It was a bit heavy, and I didn't love the pickups. But I liked playing it. It was a comfortable guitar to play, and I found myself, I don't know, just enjoying Strats more than I used to. I was never a Strat guy. I want a good Strat. And I was thinking about Fender players and stuff like that. I've been doing a lot of research, like a ton of research on just Strat style guitars in general. And it turns out that literally for under $1,000, the best thing that you can get is this PRS Silver Sky SE. I mean, these things get amazing reviews. Like, the pickups are good, the necks are good, I mean, you know, everything about them is up to par, is really good. So, yeah, you know what? Just veering off for a second. If you hear some noise, it's been hotter lately. We've been getting warmer weather, and I have to keep my window open. But of course, today is garbage day, and the garbage trucks are just going to hang out in the street for like 2 hours now. So yeah, these Silver Skies get amazing reviews, and honestly was not a huge fan of John Mayer. I've got nothing against him. I just wasn't really a fan of John Mayer. I didn't know too much about John Mayer, and this is a John Mayer Signature Series guitar. So I actually went out and bought some John Mayer albums because I figured, you know, if I'm going to own a John Mayer guitar, I should probably maybe listen to some of his music and see if I actually dig it. And I do. I actually really prefer the John Mayer Trio to like the live John Mayer Trio to some of his albums. But he's got some great stuff. The Continuum album is really good, and I really enjoy that. I haven't gotten past that one yet. I've only heard the first couple, but and you know, this thing is great. This thing feels good. It plays good. It's awesome. It comes with the tremolo decked, so because I mean, I guess that's the way John Mayer plays it, and it's his signature guitar. That's the way they set it up. I don't really float a tremolo, so I you know, just loosened it up and tweaked it and got it set up pretty good. I went with this color because I got a really good deal on this color. I don't know if this color wasn't selling as well, but it's actually a really cool color. Not sure if the camera really does it justice, but in person, it's not pink. It's like this weird burgundy. It's almost like, I don't know, my daughter says it looks like chocolate milk, which is weird. But if you look at it, you can kind of see that brownish color to it. The neck is this really nice, like, satiny neck. It's just like a satin finish, and it's super comfortable. And the fretwork on this thing was impeccable out of the box. I actually didn't get, I bought it at a store, and I bought it off the wall, but I mean, like, they didn't do too much to it before they hung it up on the wall. And the fretwork is like, is freaking gorgeous on this thing. This thing feels and plays great. It's got an 8.5 radius, okay? Which is not quite vintage. Vintage is more like 7.25. And then most modern standard Fenders are 9.5. So it's somewhere between the vintage radius and a modern standard Fender. I find this radius very comfortable. And nothing is fretting out. And the factory setup for the pickups is perfect in my mind. Like, these pickups are amazing. Like, that's what makes this stand out a lot to me, is the pickups in the guitar are incredible. They sound amazing. I guess they're styled after John Mayer's 63 and 64, like a 63 or 64 Strat, maybe both. I don't know. They're kind of a blend between a 63 and a 64 Strat. And I gotta tell you, these are the strattiest non-Strat pickups I've ever heard. But they sound great. The bridge is, it's not, but it doesn't have that super bite high end that you get from a lot of like Strat style guitars. And it's got a little bit of the high end rolled off. But what's really nice about it is it's full and it takes distortion great. This thing sounds awesome with distortion, like, which is always been an issue with me for a S-style guitar or a Strat guitar. I've always had a problem with the way they sound with distortion. They're always too bright, too just brittle, too just nasty sounding. But yeah, it's got vintage style saddles, which I haven't had any problems with these saddles. Unlike the Fender Player that I had a long time ago, the saddles sucked and I had to like buy new ones and replace them because I was getting all these weird little pings and there was like grooves in them and they just, I don't know, they weren't great. The nut is, it's not a bone nut, but I think it's like a new bone, like it's some kind of synthetic plastic nut, basically. But it's secured in place and it was cut perfectly from the factory. And yeah, it's fine. The tuning pegs on the top, these tuning pegs, kind of, there's controversy behind these because I guess some people just don't like the gray. And John Mayer himself apparently supposedly picked out that gray color. And I guess the story was he was looking at his like iPhone or his computer or something, and he saw that computer gray, and he thought, oh, that'd be an interesting color for a tuning peg. So they made these tuning pegs. They're not cheap. They feel good. They're solid. They tune really well. This guitar is rock solid with tuning. You set it up, you get it, it stays in tune, no problems at all. Honestly, I got nothing bad to say about this guitar. There's nothing bad to say about it. It is essentially a Strat.
I mean, it's a Strat, plain and simple. It does have a back cover. I know if you get the core version, it doesn't have a cover on the back, but this one has the cover on the back, which I don't have a problem with. Has that cool old plate right on the back there, which is the John Mayer Signature Series. It's kind of neat. I don't know. All I know... Oh, and this is rosewood. This is not Indian laurel or Pau Ferrell or whatever, Ferrell or whatever they use as an Indian laurel replacement. This is an actual rosewood fretboard, which is pretty damn cool. And it's a maple neck, and it's a poplar body. The cheapest thing about it is the body that's poplar. But what I do like about the poplar body is it keeps the weight down on the guitar, so this doesn't feel like a boat anchor. This is around 7 pounds, I think, just under 7 pounds. This is a very comfortable guitar to play. Yeah, I don't have much else to say about it other than this thing is awesome. If you're in the market for a Strat style guitar and you're not 100, you don't have to have a Fender, okay? Like, you're not like a Fender fanboy that has to have a Fender or whatever. Like, that's a really good option. They go retail for like $850 in the United States. Now, I'm not sure what they are in other countries, but I know it's US. I actually got that guitar for $650. It was marked as a used guitar, but the store that I went to got so many of them that they were like marking one of them down so they could kind of help sell them, because they had like 5 or 6 of them on the wall. I mean, I don't want or need for another Strat style guitar anymore. I have an awesome Strat style guitar that sounds amazing, plays amazing. I don't know. John Mayer and Paul Reed Smith did something right, because that is an amazing guitar. I can't stop saying it's an amazing guitar, because it is an amazing guitar. And if you're in the market for that style of guitar, I highly recommend to give one of these a try. Now, there have been some reports of some minor QC issues for people who have bought them online, you know, gotten them right out of the box. There have been some people have had a few issues with, like, you know, just fret problems, you know, some pokey frets and, you know, some fret work. This might have a high fret or two. I'm not really sure. I mean, at the action that I have it set on, I don't really have a problem. If I was trying to go a little bit lower, I think you start to hear some stuff, but it could also be the result of the neck radius as well, like the 8.5 radius on the neck. The hardware is awesome. The tone pots and everything, and the switch are all good stuff. Not like cheap Chinese crap. It's all good stuff. The bridge is good. Everything on it is good hardware. You don't need to do anything to this guitar. Like, if you buy one of these new, it's good to go. Unless you're super picky and you want to change out pickups, but the pickups are designed for this guitar specifically. They're designed to get the best out of this guitar, and I think they sound great. They remind me a lot of, like, say, like John Frusciante. It's a 60 Strat. This guitar is PRS's take on a 60 Strat. That's what it is. And it sounds amazing. It sounds incredible. It looks cool. It plays great. There's not much I can say about it for the cost. So, I mean, and not even just for the money. I mean, it's a great guitar, period. Not just for the money, it's a great guitar. No, it's a great guitar. Some people aren't jibing with these. I think they're just Fender traditionalists that have issues with some of the slight changes that were made. But to be honest with you, this is a Strat through and through. No question. 100% Strat. Like, pick this thing up. The neck feels a little different than a Fender Strat. Yeah, the neck profile is a little bit different. But it's super comfortable to play, and yeah, I don't have a problem with that. So, cool. Anyway, yeah, so if you're in the market for something like this, check it out. The PRS Silver Sky SE. SE actually stands for Student Edition, but that's just it's their budget line, PRS's budget line. $850 is not a budget line in my book, but that's the way it works. So anyway, awesome. If you like this kind of content, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you'll be notified if there are new videos that are off schedule or whenever I got a new video. I post a new video every single Wednesday, and yeah, I guess like the videos, because I guess that helps YouTube likes it when you like things. It helps me, it helps YouTube, who knows. But yeah, this has been the EFX Loop. I'm Jay Byrne. I hope you enjoyed. See you next time. What we've got here is a 2023 Epiphone inspired by Gibson SG Standard. It's got a mahogany body with gloss poly finish, a 60s slim taper neck with a 12-inch neck radius, Graphtec new bone nut, 24 3/4-inch scale length. It's got 22 medium jumbo frets, a laurel fingerboard on a mahogany neck. It's got nickel finish, Epiphone Deluxe 18:1 ratio tuners, a Locktone Tunematic bridge and stop bar, Epiphone Alnico Classic Pro bridge and neck pickups. It also has a 3-way toggle with CTS pods. This guitar not only rocks, but this is a really big bang for your buck Epiphone. Let's talk guitars. What I'll be playing through today is my Katana Artist Mark II, and I'll also be using a Wampler Tumnus for a little bit of extra bite. I'm playing through the Crunch channel as well. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the EFX Loop. On the EFX Loop this week we are talking about a brand new guitar that I've had for a couple weeks now. It's new to me. I just picked it up. This is a Epiphone Standard SG. It's from their Epiphone inspired by Gibson line, which is generally gotten pretty high praise. This is technically the third Epiphone SG that I've owned. The first one was a really cheap, I think it's called like a G400 or something, and it was before this whole inspired by Gibson thing. And it had a kind of an unfinished red body. You can see that in some of my other videos from the movie I put together, Determination Never Ends, where I'm playing a bunch of my music. That's the SG I was using in that. That guitar suffered from serious. It had pretty bad neck dive, and the tuning stability was horrendous. I actually bought this little gadget that goes on top of the headstock to kind of help with the tuning on that, and it did kind of help for a little while. But that was never a very good guitar. That was a cheap Epiphone SG. That was kind of the lowest tier SG that they sell. The next one I had was basically the same thing as this. It was an Epiphone SG Standard. It was a traditional, I think it was called a standard, it was Epiphone SG Traditional Pro or something like that. I can't remember exactly what it was. It had this this candy apple kind of sparkly finish, and it was a Guitar Center exclusive thing, so it had the push-pull pots, which were okay, but I mean honestly it's not something that I would use on a guitar like this regularly speaking anyway. So honestly that guitar was pretty much just as good as this guitar. I sold that guitar because I was looking to get something else and I just needed something to sell, so that guitar ended up being the casualty. So this time around, I decided, you know what, I want to get my SG because I was looking into maybe getting a new speaker cabinet or something, and that was going to cost about $500. And I was like, you know what? Because this guitar cost $500 basically is what I paid for it through Sweetwater. And I don't know if you saw my unboxing video where I talked about the Sweetwater inspection, and everything seemed to go pretty well. I mean, honestly, this guitar is pretty much perfect. It has a few little body blemishes, but nothing dramatic. It took me a little while to set it up and intonate it properly. I didn't have any problems with the frets or anything like that. The nut was cut, at least as far as I can tell, the nut's cut well. I mean, it plays well for me with the action that I like playing with, which is kind of like medium action, I guess you could say. I don't know too much to say about this guitar other than it's a really good guitar for $500. The pickups that they put in these things, they're called Alnico. I have a paper here. They're called Alnico Classic Pro, the bridge and the neck pickup that they put on this guitar. And I guess they're styled after, what do they call it? They're called, like, Gibson has a set of pickups called 57 Classics, which are basically supposed to sound like, you know, the classic SG sound you hear, like AC/DC, all that kind of stuff. And, you know, just the quintessential SG sound, that bitey sound the SGs can get. Well, the Classic Pro pickups from Epiphone are designed to sound like the 57s. So it's Epiphone's version of the 57s. And honestly, they sound really good. They have a lot of bite, and they're just like, boom, they kind of hit you in the face. It's got a really nice attack. I've noticed that specifically with this guitar, and it's very pickup dependent, because the first SG that I had, the cheaper one, and it was a G400 or whatever it's called, something like that, I think. That first Epiphone that I had different pickups in it, had more modern pickups in it, and they were kind of muddy. They took distortion pretty well. They had this, like, I don't really know how to describe the sound. They had a bit more of something you'd imagine from like a Black Sabbath-y type of sound, which made sense for an SG at the time, and I just naturally assumed that that's what SGs were supposed to sound like. But then when I got the other guitar, the Candy Apple Red one, that I think had the same pickups that are in these, except they were just coil splittable. And it's this brighter, like more punchy kind of attack to the pickups, especially if you're on the bridge pickup. It's nice and bright. And what's nice about the pickups is you can actually use the middle position and the neck pickup without it getting too muddy, because they're kind of brighter pickups.
CTS pots in this, which is awesome because they're not using like the cheap, like I mean they might be cheaper versions of the CTS pots, but for the knobs and stuff like that. And the switch is a really good switch. So you're getting some relatively high-end components. I mean, the tuners are the, what is this, the 18-to-1 Epiphone Deluxe tuners. I haven't had any problems with these tuners at all. These tuners are awesome. Actually, the guitars, generally speaking, stays in tune as good as an SG can stay in tune. Once I finally got it, like, you know, intonated enough, and a little bit of info on that. Anyone who's ever had to intonate, and specifically these Epiphones do, but I think Gibsons are the same, something along these lines, will notice that the G string, the saddle, usually has to be cranked all the way to the end. You can flip that saddle around, which I did with my other guitars, which gives you a little bit more range. But I was able to just crank it all the way to the end, and it seemed to intonate fine with this. But I was having a little bit of an issue because it wasn't intonating, and then I had to push it all the way to the end. It's from what I've noticed so far with all the Gibson style guitars that I have, it seems to be an inherent issue with Gibsons or Epiphones or whatever. I don't have any real experience with Gibsons, but I have experience with Epiphone, with Gibson style Epiphones, so if that makes any sense. It's got this, what they call a 60s slim taper neck. And it's a 12-inch radius, so it's a nice flat board. It plays really well, and it feels really nice to play it. I mean, I'm used to that style of playing. People who are used to more of a Fender style, they got to kind of get used to the Gibson neck because it does feel different. It's flatter and it's faster, I think, personally, of a neck to play on. SGs, if they're set up properly, play really, really nice. So I think that's kind of the appeal of an SG. It's just an easier guitar to play. Now, they can have some tuning stability issues. Honestly, I've noticed that since I've gotten it set up right, it's pretty solid for the most part. I mean, unless you start playing kind of hard, then like I said, you might pull it a little out because the neck's so thin. That it's like that. It gets a little tricky. And when you're tuning it, you got to be careful not to kind of tug at the headstock because it's weird. You'll tune it and then it's out of tune and you're like, why is it out of tune? And then you just kind of lightly adjust it and then it's back in tune because you're putting a little bit of like tension on the neck and it's actually affecting the pitch of the string. I'm a big AC/DC fan. So for me, this was all about Angus Young, and I've always loved that sound that he gets, that tone that he gets out of his guitar. So yeah, for me, I mean, that's the kind of SG that I wanted. That's the kind of sound that I wanted to get out of an SG. If I was getting an SG, that was what I was getting it for. I mean, I have a Les Paul style guitar. I have a 335. You know, I have a Strat style guitar and a Telecaster. I can get those other tones, but I wanted this to do something specific, and it really does it. That's an Epiphone inspired by Gibson SG. I've played in guitar stores a few real SGs, like $1,500 Gibson SGs, and I gotta tell you, as far as I'm concerned, I can't feel the difference. To me, I can't feel the difference. The neck might feel a little nicer on the real deal, but I mean, it is so minor that if you don't know the difference, you are never ever gonna tell. And I mean, these things, these inspired by Gibsons are awesome. I mean, they're right up there with the real thing. So if you like this kind of content, like, subscribe, leave a comment, let me know what you think. I post a video every single week. My videos are gonna be shaking it up a little bit. I'm gonna be doing some movie related stuff with the SFX Loop and some regular FX Loop stuff. So I hope you like that kind of content and check it out. And yeah, so hope you enjoyed this episode. I've been Jay Byrne. This is the EFX Loop. Take care. What we've got here is an Epiphone /Victoria standard gold top. It has a mahogany body with a carved hard maple cap. It's got a laurel fingerboard with a 12-inch radius, 22 medium jumbo frets. It's got a Graphtec nut. It also has the custom C-shaped neck profile. Also a autograph on the truss rod cover, and on the back you get Slash's little top hat logo. It's got Epiphone Vintage Deluxe tuners, 2 custom approved Alnico 2 Pro buckers, CTS pots with orange drop capacitors, and it comes with a nice custom hard shell case. Let's talk guitars. Today I'll be using my Katana Artist Mach 2 head and cabinet for the sound demos. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the EFX Loop. I am your host, Jay Byrne. Today we're talking about yet another guitar. I had an unboxing video already, so I've already shown this guitar off, but I wanted to get a little more in the weeds and a little more in detail about this guitar in this video, because I know there seems to be a lot of opinions regarding these particular Epiphone guitars. And let's face it, I mean, Gibson and Epiphone have a new model every freaking year. So yeah, it gets a little bit tough to decipher which ones are the best ones. Originally, I wanted to get the Appetite Burst, but that one was out of stock at Sweetwater, and I was just impatient, and I didn't feel like waiting. Plus, I wasn't really sure whether I liked that particular top, because that top is a veneer, all right? If you're not familiar with what an actual veneer is, when Epiphone and different companies make cheaper guitars, what they'll do is they'll put a very thin layer of a wood veneer on top, so they can pick like a good looking top and then they just put that over, so it's like a fake top basically, so that it looks nice. I mean, it's not fake because it's still wood, but it's not like you've got the mahogany body and that's the actual grain from the mahogany body. You're seeing the veneer. Okay, what I like about this gold top is there is no veneer. There's a hard maple cap and it's gold painted. There's no veneer on this one. What I think is kind of cool, actually, and I did a bit of research to figure this out, is this back right here, that is not a veneer. That is a solid mahogany back, which the wood is really nice looking on the back of this body. So this is mahogany, and this back is not a veneer. I don't know, there might be people out there saying that it is, but I've researched it and it is definitely not a veneer. It's not super heavy. I picked that myself. I think that's around 8 pounds. It's in 7. It was 7 something, I think. 7 pounds, like 16 ounces or something like that. It's not the heaviest thing I've ever worn. I mean, I think they are chambered a little bit to help with the weight inside. I've heard that. I mean, there's no way to really know unless you're opening them up, and Epiphone doesn't really put that information out there.
The major thing with this particular guitar that I know a lot of people are talk about basically is that everybody wants to change the pickups. Okay, now these pickups in this guitar, they are slash designed Alnico 2 Pro Buckers, okay? Custom Pro Buckers. These aren't the standard Pro Buckers that you get in every other Epiphone. I want to make that very clear because I think that piece of information is a little bit lost in a lot of the videos that I watched regarding this guitar. And these pickups, according to Epiphone, there was actually an article that I read that went into very good detail about what Epiphone actually did. Apparently, they took the specs of Slash's signature pickups because the earlier versions of these, a couple years back, had Slash's signature pickups in them. Okay, they were the Seymour Duncans. But instead, what Gibson and Epiphone Gibson as a company has done now is they took those pickups, those Slash pickups, basically like, you know, figured out what they were, and they took them and they made them themselves. They took the burst buckers for the Gibson versions, and they designed the burst buckers to sound like the Slash pickups. For Epiphone, they took the Pro Buckers, and they redesigned the Pro Buckers to sound like Slash's pickups. According to the article that I read, basically, these are the Slash pickups. They are so close, like, in spec, in design, in everything, they're very, very close. So, for all intents and purposes, these should sound almost identical to the Slash Seymour Duncans. And I gotta tell you, I watched a lot of videos online when I was trying to decide about what guitar to get. Because originally I was thinking about getting the 59 reissue, but I'm not a fan of the satiny finish. I actually like the more gloss finish, and I don't have a problem with poly. So while I was researching guitars and I was trying to figure out what I wanted to get for a Les Paul, because as any of you who watch my channel know, I did have a Les Paul custom, a white and black custom, that I just wasn't getting along with. I never really... It was beautiful. The Epiphone Customs, Les Paul Customs, are awesome, and they're great guitars if that's what you're looking for. But a Les Paul Custom sounds a little different than a standard. It has a different vibe to it and a different sound to it. I don't really know how to describe it, but they do sound different. And I just wasn't jiving with it. And I gotta tell you, man, this guitar... I've played a few actual Les Pauls. I mean, I've never owned any, but I've messed around with a few. And this guitar with the neck, with Slash's actual neck design, feels the most like a real Les Paul than any Epiphone I've ever played. I mean, this thing feels like a real Les Paul when you play it. I don't really know how to describe it other than that. If you know the difference, you know the difference. And if you don't know the difference, it doesn't matter anyway. But this guitar really feels like like an actual Les Paul, and I think the weight and the mahogany and just the look of it, it adds to this like vibe that it's an actual Les Paul you're playing, and it sounds amazing. The tuners are great. The neck is awesome. I will say, and I'm going to be 100% honest about this, when I got that, there was quite a bit of fret sprout. The neck was sharp. The fretwork itself is perfect. Like, I don't seemingly don't have any high frets. I mean, for me, I don't play with super low action. I play with kind of medium standard action. And at the action that I play at, which is generally like, it's 564s on the top, 464s on the bottom. I didn't have any problems. There's no buzzing frets. There's no issues as far as any of that stuff is concerned. But the fret ends were kind of sharp. And I had to do some work on it, which took me a little while, but I finally got it nice and comfortable. Like, now that I kind of got used to taking care of the fret ends and stuff like that. It was something new for me. Like, and I didn't want to wreck my guitars because, you know, and I didn't want to damage the finish and all that kind of stuff. This guitar is based off of a Goldtop that Slash had. His had a darker back, had a black back. However, this back is a standard Goldtop. This is around, I think it was a 58 Goldtop that Slash had. And he lost it, it got stolen. And Gibson made him some replacements for it. But you can see, like, when he plays live during the Use Your Illusions hour, I used to use this to play Sweet Child of Mine a lot. So this is based after one of Slash's actual guitars. This isn't just some random one that he picked out. Slash has this, and his has a dark back. It's like a darker back. But like I said, this is the standard look for a Goldtop, except for the pickup. But this back, this lighter wood back, is like a standard back for Goldtop. Of course, it comes with all the typical Epiphone stuff, like the tuners and the lock tone stop bar. I haven't had any problems with this pulling out of the body as of yet. These posts, I always have problems with these Epiphone posts coming out after a while, but that is an easy fix. I mean, everything was pretty flawless about this guitar right from the get-go, except for the fact that I did have to smooth out the fret ends, which are fine now. But yeah, I'm finally happy. I finally got a Les Paul back, and I'm happy with this Les Paul. This Les Paul ain't going anywhere. I initially wanted to change the pickups like everybody else, but I just like the way this guitar sounds, the way it is, stock, right from the factory. And I think they're very well made, and right now, they're kind of a limited time sale. It says limited time for Nunes Fajano. They're $800. So for $800, you get an Epiphone Les Paul with special design pickups and a case. It comes with little strap locks inside the case. But yeah, it's pretty awesome. So I don't know, if you're in the market for something like this is a cool guitar. If you love Slash like I do, this is an awesome guitar. So if you like this kind of stuff, like, subscribe, leave a comment, let me know what you think. I'm always interested in what people have to say, and whenever I can, I will respond to the comments. Each week, I do either an FX Loop video or an SFX Loop video. So if this week is the FX Loop, next week will be the SFX Loop. Just want to let everybody know I appreciate the fact that you keep coming back to watch my videos, and there will be more going forward. So I hope you enjoyed. I hope you liked this guitar. Maybe I helped you figure something out if you were trying to come up with an idea, or maybe you wanted to buy one and you weren't really sure. So that's what this is all about. All right, well, take care. I'm Jay Byrne, and this is the FX Loop. See you next time.